Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. And greetings to all. I am Jawati binti Johari, and I'm now currently attached to the National Defence University of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So today I'll be sharing my short research on the future of social science and engineering education in Malaysia. Before we start, this is the outline of my sharing session. First, we will be looking at the engineering education as well as social science education. Then we'll be looking at the objective. There's only one objective, which is to examine the present condition and prospects of social science education in relation to engineering education in Malaysian higher learning institutions. For the literature, there will be selected literatures focusing on three aspects only. For the methodology, I have actually adopted qualitative research approach where I actually use summative content analysis of printed documents or published documents of research reports, previous research. For the findings, the focus is on the challenges as well as the opportunities for engineering education as well as social science education. For the way forward, focus will be given on the implications. Basically, there are three implications or consequences. And then, of course, to wrap up all the discussion, a conclusion will be provided at the end of this. So let's begin. For the introduction, basically, Malaysia is not yet a fully industrialized nation. And to achieve this full industrialization status, Malaysia has placed a greater emphasis on engineering and science education. And this is done through several efforts to develop a competent workforce, for example, that can contribute to the country's economic development. However, it is also imperative to consider the significance and prospects of social science education in Malaysian higher learning institutions, as it has a crucial impact on the comprehension of human behavior, social interactions, and the intricate nature of contemporary society. So basically, at one end, we want to have a very competent kind of or batches of engineers or technologists in order to develop the country. But at the other end of the spectrum, we also need social science graduates, for example, in language studies or in communication, in sociology, in philosophy, in order to balance the development. And to look at the objective, I have actually mentioned earlier, there's only one objective. So this study actually looks at the present condition as well as the prospects of social science education in relation to engineering education in Malaysian higher learning institutions. And literature, selected literature, the first one, we have three. The first one, Malaysia's educational system. So basically, the Malaysian education system is a dynamic and growing structure that mirrors the country's diverse cultural as well as religious background. And the incorporation of Islamic ideas and principles into the education system has been a notable advance, influencing the comprehensive development of students' personalities. And of course, in Malaysia, there are also debates on the secondary, primary level of educations, but this study actually focuses just on higher learning education. Moving on, the second aspect of the selected literature would be 4IR, or the fourth industrial revolutions. So the 4IR has influenced Malaysia's higher education scene through the technological advances, and especially for the private higher learning institutions, they are currently experiencing heightened liberalization and competition, and this has actually raised worries for their long-term viability. Because all private institutions, they are fighting, I would say fighting, to get students into their own institutions. So it becomes very competitive in terms of providing the facilities, providing the best whatever teachers or materials. This has actually made the country a very popular choice for overseas students particularly, but at the same time, it worries or it concerns is in terms of the long-term viability. And technological advancements, for example, robotics or the Internet of Things and big data analytics will actually transform the Malaysian education system. So ideally, with all this, it will actually perhaps make things easier, make students easier to learn and to do things, to write reports, for example. So this is on the impact of the 4IR into the education system. And the last selected literature would be on the social science and engineering education. So basically, social science education includes, for example, language studies, communication, philosophy, anthropology, sociology, and many others, including management, economics, and all. They are essential for equipping students with the necessary skills and knowledge to navigate the complexities and possibilities of the 21st century, especially for the unknown. And the shift in the country's economy from agriculture to manufacturing, for example, has led to this significant rise in the demand for highly trained engineers as well as technologies, but our focus is on engineering education, so highly trained engineers. Therefore, in order to capture or to address this need, the government has introduced several measures to encourage the study of engineering at the higher education level. For example, we have campaigns, we have promotions at schools in order to attract school leavers to come to higher education and study engineering programs. Or we also have speakers from all over the country to come to schools and talk to the students, giving seminars and workshops, stating the best things about being engineers or stating the challenges, but at the same time, the opportunities presented by becoming engineers. So we do have this kind of programs in our schools today. Now moving on to the methodology, as has been mentioned earlier, I actually adopted a qualitative research approach, particularly focusing on using summative content analysis. So what happened is that I use keywords before and during analysis. So before, for example, before I started to search for the documents, for the research reports, so I have actually identified earlier the keywords. And then during the analysis process, I managed to also identify other relevant keywords for analysis. And to sum up this process, I actually adopted semi-systematic review on Google Scholar. So basically, there were about 15 articles or 15 research reports that I have used. So in terms of the keywords, or some of you may say key phrases. So the before, the ones that have been identified were social science education in Malaysia, engineering education in Malaysia, and additional terms like challenges and opportunities were actually added for both subject areas. So it became social science education in Malaysia, challenges or opportunities for social science education or engineering education in Malaysia. And during the process of the analysis, three key phrases, I would say, had been identified. The first one, the importance of multidisciplinary collaboration. Second, the integration of social science-based skills in engineering education. And the last one, the changing requirements of the engineering profession. Moving on, we are now coming to the findings. So as mentioned earlier as well, our findings focus on challenges and opportunities. So for social science education, there are two challenges, basically, two main ones. The first one is the possible marginalization of social sciences as institutions prioritize technical programs and dedicate more resources and attention to these technical programs. So marginalization of social sciences. So that's number one. Number two, there is this belief that social sciences may not have a direct impact on the economic growth and technical progress of a nation. And this actually resulting in a comparatively lower level of investments and support in these domains, in these social sciences, basically. Of course, apart from the challenges, we also have opportunities for social science education. The first one, social science education in Malaysia has several prospects to flourish and make significant contributions to the country's progress. This can be done through, for example, programs such as communication, language studies. How can an engineer present his or her ideas without a proper language use or without a proper communication skill? And second opportunity is the fact that the significance of soft skills, such as communication, which now I have mentioned, critical thinking, and flexibility in the context of the 4IR, the fourth industrial revolution, provides a chance for the social sciences to assume a more prominent position in the curriculum. So this is on social science education. For the engineering education, we also present challenges, two challenges actually, and two opportunities. The first challenge is to ensure that engineering education is relevant and in sync with the changing requirements of the industry. So this is, I believe, a huge task, a massive task. Multiple studies have emphasized the presence of a skills gap between the abilities of engineering graduates and the requirements set by the employers or by the industry. So the second challenge is an increasing recognition of the importance of incorporating engineering principles into school curricula. Now, one of the ways or methods in order to promote for school leavers to come and join engineering programs at university level is actually to try and incorporate the principles, engineering principles at schools. So this is kind of a challenge because we need experts, we need advisors from universities or from accreditation bodies, for example, in order to integrate this. The second, that's the challenges. Now we move on to opportunities. We have two opportunities. The first one is by integrating recent technologies into the curriculum, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, for example. Higher learning institutions can guarantee that engineering graduates possess the aptitude and expertise necessary to excel in this digital era. And the second one, the second opportunity, the increasing focus on sustainable development as well as environmental stewardship presents a chance for engineering education to make a meaningful contribution to a larger societal objectives, to a specific community, for example. But yes, meaningful contribution. So two challenges, two opportunities for engineering education in Malaysia. So the way forward, of course, we are about to end our sharing session. So basically, implications. Let's talk about the implications. We have three, actually. The first one, there's this requirement to promote increased cooperation and merging between social sciences and engineering curricula. Now, how to do this? Of course, these experts in social science education, experts in engineering education, they must come together and look at the broader spectrum altogether, not just merely for engineering or merely for social sciences. No, look at the need of the nation in a bigger spectrum. And the second implication is the requirement. There's this requirement to actually revise the curriculum in social science programs to more closely correspond with the demands of the engineering profession and wider societal objectives. And last but not least, in order to ensure that the graduates, the engineering graduates, can actually practice what they learn, these engineering programs offered must comply with the accreditation bodies, such as in Malaysia, we have Engineering Accreditation Council, and then we also have Malaysia Qualifications Agency. So these are the three implications highlighted in this study. To conclude, I know that the word fate is a very strong word. However, I really want to stress the fact that the fate of social science education at higher learning institutions is intricately tied to the changing demands of the engineering professions and wider societal objectives. So if we want our engineers to be able to contribute not on the technical aspects only, but more so in terms of convincing society, in terms of talking to them, presenting to the people of the country, then we need to have this social science education to be resembling or to be closely correspond to the demand of engineering education. And the incorporation of social science into engineering education can significantly enhance the understanding and application of technical abilities and problem-solving approaches. Last but not least, the higher education providers in Malaysia may cultivate engineers who possess not only technical expertise, but also a deep understanding of the wider social and environmental consequences of their work by first integrating ethics, then social responsibility, and last but not least, sustainability into engineering programs. So with that, that's the end of my sharing session today. Reach out if you have any questions. I can be contacted at my email address, jowati@upatm.edu.my, or I'm also can be contacted at my social media as listed on the screen. So I welcome questions, comments, feedback. Also, I welcome questions as well. So I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And thank you once again for listening to my sharing session. And that's it. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum once again, and greetings to all once again.